So, for example, I've
Mm.
seen moms who are amazing moms, but being a mom has been their whole identity to a point that they either make their adult children totally relying on them or they go into a depression once the kids leave. Their marriage suffers,
Mm.
etc. Because all they know is being a mom. Hey everyone, welcome to the Christyn Show. Today we are going to dive a little bit deeper into identity, but today I have a guest with me. I have a guest that is a special guest. She's a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, a licensed certified counselor, clinical social worker, and entrepreneur. She's a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She has a master's in social work from Howard University. She's my friend, she's my sister, and so much more. Shirletta Butler. So, Shalita, before we were wives, I'm gonna read this, you guys. So just listen. I want to answer this question. I want to make sure I ask it the way I wrote it. So give me a moment if you see me look away. So, Shalita, before we were wives, before we were moms, professionals, and etc., we were who we were. I was just Jessica, and you were Shalita, and there was freedom in that. We can be whoever and do whatever we called to be or do. But now that we have these roles and titles, it's such a battle to find clarity in who we knew we were, who we knew we could be, and bring that identity we had into the roles and the titles we have now. I personally struggle with being unapologetically me because I think about what would people think? What would my kids think? What would my husband think? Not to say that shouldn't be considered. I shouldn't consider that, but sometimes because of that, I put the me I know I can be or want to be in the closet. Sometimes I don't see me I don't see the me that I used to know I could be anymore. Others might peek into my true identity if they're around me enough, but I've been blinded by life for so long that I mostly can't recognize just Jessica anymore. I brought you on the show to help me and the ladies listening understand how we got these identity issues. And then my stuttering, this is off of the paper. And then my stuttering, I'm still struggling with making sure that I say the right thing and making sure that it's clear for the people listening. So, is this something that happens over time? Because I remember being, is this something that happens over time? Because I remember being confident in who I was as a little girl. I remember knowing and thinking exactly what to do and who I wanted to be in life. Now it seems like most of the picture, most most days, the picture is nowhere near as clear as it was. So what happened to us? What happened to me? And what happened to so many other ladies listening?
Wow, good question, Jazz. And before we get into the question, I just have to say thank you for having me. And more importantly, congratulations on your new podcast. This is exciting. And what happened to you is you're doing big things like what you're doing now.
Right.
But back to the question, what happened to us? Life. Life happened.
Yeah.
Um, I would say nothing. I think we grew up, you know. I think we gained new responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I call them, in quotations, my blessings.
Right.
We got husbands, we
Yeah.
got kids, we got careers, we got cars, we got houses, we got health insurance,
Right.
you know, just
Right.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
And um, when you get all these different titles and responsibilities and blessings, it is hard to juggle them all.
Right.
So I think what happened for me was, okay, I mastered, me a little bit. Just kind of taking care of me. Then when I got a husband, I had to learn how to master two.
Right.
And then we had our baby. I just mastered two.
Right.
I got to master three. But what happened was, and I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes if you really know how to master one, when you get two, you sometimes begin to master one. For some people, it may be where you give up you and you master taking care of your husband.
Yeah.
Or some people, I neglect my husband. I'm still, taking care of me.
Right.
And then when a third person come in, sometimes I felt like, okay, now I can do two, but it's three. So then it's okay. I'm making sure my husband's straight and my child's straight, but I'm not sure. Or me and the child straight, my husband getting left out.
Right.
Or so it's just a hard balancing act. And what typically happens, and I'm not going to say just for women, and it could happen with men, husband, fathers too,
right.
is
That's true.
You lose some of you trying to make sure, because you have new people with new identities in your life.
Right.
And it's just very hard to multitask.
Right.
That's one thing that I think happens to us. And I know for me, even, when we talk about the other blessings that come, right. They become a little more, I don't want to say important,
right.
Because when I think about my identity, I think about, okay, I am funny, I like to talk, I like to shop excessively, I love to dance, I love music,
right.
I'm a socialite, I love people,
right.
Like that was my identity kind of growing up, right?
Right.
Some of the stuff that I was listening to and that was real funny, that stuff ain't funny no more. You know what I mean?
Right.
Real life is happening.
Maturing into maturing your identity, kind of like yes, I like to dance, but I need to know what space I need to. Or for me, it was more like I love to give, I love to do these things, I like to take care of people, but I need to make sure that in that taking care of, that I'm taking care of me too.
Yeah,
I think that's the part that gets lost. Like we get and maybe and help me understand. Like we get lost in mastering all these new roles. Do you think that we neglect the role of ourselves? Like even though we're maturing. Do you feel like other things are being left out? So when I'm mastering being a wife and making sure and growing into that as a early on when I first get married, I want to know who he is, and especially if I didn't, we're just moving in together. We're in a new space and learning how to love differently. I feel like I feel like the relationship is different as a girlfriend and a wife. So it's like just really learning who that person is. And so with that, do you feel like I put all of my identity or all of who I am into that and forget to take care? Is there really a balance in that?
Yeah. I agree with you. I believe that there is a level of putting down self and picking up the new responsibilities.
Do you think that we pick up self later once we realize that it's happening? Once we master it? I don't know if master is the word, but master. Right, that's what I was like. I don't know if master is the right word, but
as we get better,
right,
I really pick it back up Um,
Right, because I don't think we can master because we're people, so we're always changing. So where I feel like I mastered my husband when he
I
was
agree.
at one point, like when we first got married, he's a whole different person 10 years later.
A whole
So,
different person.
so I'm just like, I don't master. You right? It's not it's not the word, but get better at it. So do you think that how do we um how do we like I said, I don't know if it's a balance. Do you think that it's a balance? Like trying to
I
balance those
heard,
different, yeah, roles?
I heard someone say that, like, life is never balanced.
Yeah.
And, and I'm starting to believe them. Don't,
Right.
I don't think that, um, it will ever be equal across all boards, where
Yeah.
you're giving every responsibility, where, I feel solid in who I am and what I'm giving to myself. My husband will feel the same way. My children will feel the same way. My extended family will feel the same way. My spiritual life will feel
Right.
the same way. My financial life. I just don't think it's possible,
Right. Mhm.
But I just think, as it relates to, us and our identity, I
Right.
think the goal is to just kind of recognize, like, just kind of constantly keep your hand on the pulse, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Right.
Because we are the core to it all. Like, if it is your husband and your children and your family and your career and your,
Right.
it's you. It's
Right.
you. And if you and I don't at least keep our hands on the pulse to know where we are, and
Right.
to be able to know, okay, like, I think it's one thing to just be in la la land, and you just losing the identity, which happens to most of us,
Yeah.
especially as, new parents or new mom, new wives, or
Right.
just a new career. But I think the goal is to slow down.
Yeah.
Like, I think
That is
we jump
good.
and
That's good.
slow
Slow down.
down,
Yep. That's good.
and and just keep our hand on the pulse to even know. I have not got my head done in the last few months. Okay. I have not sat down and read a good book. Oh
Right.
my God, I have not had any me time to just walk through the park, look at the sky, like, just be in tune versus, oh my God, where have the last 3 to 5 years, what happened?
Right.
So, but we're busy. We're just,
Yeah.
sometimes we get so busy, and the goal is not to be so busy that you cannot take a pause
Yeah.
and think and
Yeah.
kind of evaluate where you are, who you are, and then be able to reposition.
And maybe this is a question like a question person by person is not or individual by individual because I'm thinking what when do you think is a good time to take a pause? Like how often I know me and you and some of our friends and our sisters we talk about at least taking a pause once a month just to step
Mm-hmm.
away. And we don't always get there. It's always something that comes up, but we try to be intentional about it when we can. Even if we don't do it together, we do it individually. How often do
Mm-hmm.
you think that we should take that pause and step away?
Um,
And what does that pause look like? So for some people, they can't necessarily go away or um, walk away. Does the pause look like, okay, today, honey, I need this day and maybe this whole weekend just to be in my room. I don't want to, and I just need a space. Can I just get a time? Like, what does that
mm-hmm.
look like? I need a certain amount of time. Is that an individual thing or something that, or is it like a set? My step away is walk away from all of this stuff for a moment and pull myself together and just get that moment. Sometimes it's talking to God, sometimes it's just breathing and just resting.
Mm-hmm.
Some real
Mm-hmm.
rest.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're, a new mom and even if you're not a new mom, listen. You just need to rest to step away from their activities and and different things in life that they have that you've done, and you just need to breathe, and you can feel it. So what do you think? How often do you think that should happen if
Well,
you
what
have
I
a
think
time?
is I am loving the questions and your answers because I'm like,
I'm like answering and I'm like
I'm loving
answering
it
and
because I'm like, okay, and I told you this lately. I'm talking to you, but you ministering back. You called for me to minister. You minister back to me, okay? And I love that. And that's it. When you say what happened to us, we evolved
right.
and we grown up, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful that you are able to speak into my life. And that's exactly everything you said. Everything that you just said is so the answer.
Right. Right.
Like it is a very individual thing,
Yeah.
and it looks in like in a variety of different things, like you said. Where for some it may be, I just need to go in my room
Right.
and I need to think.
Yep.
I need to pray. I
Mhm.
need to see. I need to look in the mirror
Yep.
without the mat, without the full beat, without the
Right.
clothes,
Right. Right.
without
Right.
the mat,
Right.
and really see where I am
That's good.
and who I am and where am I trying to go. Um, or some people it may be I have to leave the house.
Yeah.
I may just need to go sit in the car and
Yeah.
maybe go sit in the park
Mhm.
or some people it's I may need a weekend away.
Yeah.
So it is very individual. But I think the main thing is take the time,
Yeah. That's true.
stop, and the pause is literally not necessarily the actions of what you're doing. It is
Yeah.
the stop.
Yeah.
It's the stop and not keep going.
Yeah.
It is to stop because the more you keep going, the more you lose. The
Yeah.
more it's like just just depleting and depleting and depleting, and you got to say, stop
Yeah.
and assess.
Yep.
And then when you assess, then you can begin to evaluate and then start the new repositioning.
So,
Or you may
yeah.
stop and get a pause and realize I'm in a good space.
That is
I'm in a
that's
real good
true.
space.
That's true. That's true. Cuz sometimes we think that we're all over the place, or we're not exactly where we need to be in that moment. And sometimes it's just resting in that place. We're
Yep,
so busy
I
trying to
agree.
get there and not enjoying here.
Yep,
So
the
it's
here
like,
and now
yeah,
and the
cuz
new me
yeah.
and the new me.
Yeah. That's true.
The new me.
That's
I
true.
think sometimes we, even as we're talking, I was thinking about the question of, where did I go? And, just looking back, but the goal is to look forward. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean? It
That's true.
is, you know, looking back to understand truly who you are at its core,
Right, right, right.
but understanding, like we talked about earlier, that, if I did lose some of my funny and some of my shopping and some of my
Right, right.
dancing and music and being around people, okay, did I really lose that or did I lose the way I used to do it?
Yeah.
Because some of the losses were a real need to be lost.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
you had to go.
Yeah.
Like no more club for me.
Right.
Okay, no more Tyson's corn and
Right,
Gucci
right, right, right.
for me.
Right, right.
And at the
Right.
way you were doing, at
The
the
way you
way
were
I was
doing it.
doing.
Right. But when we,
No more.
yeah, because when we do that, I guess we just have to. I don't think balance is the word, but I think we have to figure out how to do it. And
Reposition.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, because I'm like, I, I know we talked about the shopping thing. That was something that was me, and um, because I did the very opposite. I was like, I'm gonna stop shopping, and then I'm looking like, why I don't like what I look, because I stopped everything because I'm thinking this is not where I need to be. This is not the space or who I want to be. Like this is, I'm only somebody if I'm wearing this, this, and this. But I think it's
Mhm.
okay to have nice things and to look
Mhm.
nice and do those things. Not like me. I went from, and I always do this. This is so funny. I go from, oh, this is too much. I'm gonna stop all of it. But it's a middle ground that,
Yes.
right. I'm like, you can shop there. You can have it. Like, so it's just like trying to make sure that I'm coming to that middle ground to be able, not taking everything away. And I think that's where it
That's
gets. And
it.
that's not, we're using shopping as a example, but it's in so many other things too.
Mhm.
That's just an
Mhm. I
example.
agree.
Yeah, so I
And
just
I think
hmm
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, hey, I just said we just gotta get to the point where we're in the middle, like finding it.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to your word balance. I
Yeah.
think like balance is like that middle, and I
Right.
think even what I was saying earlier, like we pause, we think about it, we evaluate, and then reposition. I
Mm.
think most of us we just stay at the pause,
Yeah.
just stop.
Yeah.
We realize what's going
Yeah.
on and just stop and
Yeah.
pause, but the goal is not to stay in the pause.
Yeah.
Like the goal of stopping is so that we can see, okay, I have, what you spend $5,000 in one shop. That no, that's too much. It doesn't mean okay, never spend a dollar
Right.
again. It just means stop, think about it, reevaluate.
Yeah.
Your next shopping spree will be $200,
Right. 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 Right.
and then that's the repositioning. But
Right.
if we just constantly pausing and stopping,
Yeah.
then it goes right back to your topic.
Yeah.
We will begin to stop doing everything
Everything.
and being everything that we were created to be.
Yeah. I agree. So I'm gonna read this next question. So in the moment while it was all happening, meaning I didn't my losing my identity, I didn't even realize I was losing it. So how do we even, and we'll probably answer this question in talking, but how do we even begin to recognize identity loss? Like, at what point did you recognize that, or you felt like you were losing your identity? Did it happen right away? Like, did it say, okay, I'm not gonna do this or be this or do that and move on? So, for example, I've seen moms who are amazing moms. So, hold on. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna read this real quick. I
Okay.
asked, how do we lose our identity so that we can stop it before it's too late and change who we've become? So, for example, I've seen
Ooh.
moms who are amazing moms, but being a mom has been their whole identity to a point that they either make their adult children totally relying on them, or they go into a depression once the kids leave. Their marriage suffers,
Ooh.
etc. Because all they know is being a mom. And even though life is ready to shift them, they've wrapped their identity into those roles. How do we
Mm.
recognize when our roles are being our identity instead of allowing our identity to shape how we approach our roles? And that's hard.
Wow.
That's a hard thing. I'm gonna say that for me, because I think
Ooh.
I've done it, and I'm gonna let you answer it. I think I've done it wrong. So for an example, like I just sent my oldest son back to college, but when he first left, I think I did a little bit better this time when I first dropped him off. But when I first dropped him off, I felt like if I just ripped this band-aid off and just let him go and don't feel any emotion about it, because I didn't want him to be, oh my goodness,
Mhm.
I'm gonna miss. I didn't want to be that mom that I always see. Like, I can't do nothing
Mhm.
else without him being here, and I'm just gonna be sad. I didn't want that for me. For me.
Mhm.
And maybe other people don't want that. For me, I was like, I'm gonna rip it off. So we're going back to the start of, I'm doing this and then I rip it. It's okay to feel. So I guess I had to
Yeah.
get to the point where it was okay to feel. But there are moms that, and older women, and some young women too, if their child went off to college, but some, they don't, their identity, everything that they've built, everything that they did, once they got that role of mom or dad or
Mhm.
whatever it is, they, when that role left, it's like they can't even live or move or do what they supposed to do. So like, or all the identity, I'm hoping I'm saying it right, all the identity was in that moment. So now it's a struggle
Mm-hmm.
with what's
Mm-hmm.
next. So
Wow.
how do we like help with that kind of stuff? Like, how do they reshape their identity of how they approach the, like, how do we deal with those roles now? I guess, am I saying it right? Like, how do,
You are.
okay.
Yep. You are. That's the beauty of being good friends. Like you don't even have to get it out. I know exactly
Right,
what
right,
you're talking about.
right.
But yeah, it is very, very common. And and like you said, we keep it real. Like we've all been there where we lose our identity
Yeah,
into the role. Like, and I just think it's bigger than us. I think it's a world type of thing. Like
yeah.
everybody, you know what it was like when we took our kids to school. Hi, Zachary's mom. I was like, really?
Right,
Even
right,
the
right,
teachers,
right,
like,
right, right,
hi, Zachary's mom.
right, right.
Like, you are literally labeled by who you are.
Yeah,
I remember even in the church. Oh, that's Pastor Keith's wife. Oh, hello, I'm Shirletta Butler. What's
right,
up? Can I get a name,
right.
please?
My name is
You
spelled
know,
not WIFE. It's spelled
or this is my social worker.
right.
This is my
Wow. Yeah,
therapist.
yeah,
So it we in a society where what you acquired or what you accomplished
yeah,
becomes your new identity.
yeah,
And we have to be very careful with that, because that's a very dangerous and slippery slope on so many levels, right?
yeah.
And it's the who I am versus what I acquired or what I accomplished.
Right.
So it's Shalita and Austin Butler versus wife, mother, licensed clinician, soror, pastor's wife, sister, brother,
Right.
best friend,
Right.
etc.,
Right.
etc.
Right. Right. Right.
And that is where you balance because I I, and it's so funny because even, when you go to places and even when it was, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself, what school you went. And I think I text back to you, I attended the school and then I put something, but and I was trying to word it where I didn't put I am
Oh
a
wow.
license,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
that's who I am.
Right.
That's what I
Right.
do.
That's what you. Right.
And sometimes they marry, but
Yeah.
I am their mother and
Mhm.
I am their wife.
Mhm.
Their wife. Oh
Right. I
Lord,
know what you.
I am his wife.
Edit.
I am his wife. His wife.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
but so saying all that, being other things don't negate who I am.
Right. Right. Right.
I can be who I am and still be all those other things.
Right.
The issue comes in when you don't know your name, but you know all of your roles and responsibilities
Accomplishments.
and
Yep.
accomplishments.
Yep.
That's where the problem comes.
Yeah.
And you see it. You see, like you said, the mother that send her children away to school and she don't know who she is.
Yeah.
That wife that, God forbid, the husband leaves you or die,
Yeah.
you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
That person who has a job and you are the director of such and such, and
Right.
then you get fired and you looking for the nearest bridge. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It
Right. No, I
that gets
understand.
scary.
Yeah.
It gets scary, and I think the balancing act is constantly looking in that mirror and looking at the authentic version of you.
Yeah.
That goofy, that flawed you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That goofy,
Mhm.
giggly,
Yeah.
fancy, talkative, play
Right.
too much. you.
Right.
That's you.
Right.
And, and just not. I'm talking about me.
Right.
We are both that. We are just both that.
Right. And that's funny when you were saying the roles. I was like, oh, that's me. And you talking about you, but I'm like, oh, that's so me. And sometimes it's to the point where you try to hide it. Like even with doing this, I'm like, oh, I want to be serious. I want to be this, and I'm like, I want to be me. That's why I had to start with identity. I just want to be me. If you know what I'm saying, like I want to be my goofy self. I want to be. It's been so long that I can be like I'm goofy, but if it's silly and everything, right? So, but at first I was like, when you become an adult, like, can I take that with me? Like, what's allowed? Like, you see so many serious people, can I still be just? And it took me a long time to realize that, though. It took me a long time to realize that I could still joke and play and do that stuff, especially when you get into new roles. Like, I'm so busy trying to focus on being great at a role that I forget to laugh through the role. It's all serious and on top, but because you need some laughter in some of this stuff that happens while you're transitioning. Because if you serious through the whole thing, you ain't making it. Making it through the
and thing. You need to be you through this whole thing.
You're right. You're right.
We grew up off of it's a time and a place, for everything.
Right.
And I have to show my kids that. Because I can be disciplining them and they jiggling. Yeah. And I love your goofy self, but please don't be goofy. My mommy's trying to correct you.
Right.
On this beat you just got on this side. But I know you didn't study for.
Right.
So the goal is to try to, remain you. Yeah. But the time and the place.
Yeah.
Now I gotta pause my goofiness. Yeah. Sometimes in the professional world,
right?
Sometimes in the parenting world, or whatever role I may be in. But when I'm finished, I'm going back to goofy. Like I'm going right back to it until everybody's tired of me being goofy, and then I'll put it up a little bit.
So what I do is, like, if I'm in the wrong place for goofiness, I take my phone out and start texting the person the goofy thing and say, I'm not trying to be. I can't say it out loud right now, but I just need to get this across. I know you're not looking at your phone, so I'm going to text you this thing, and I got to get it out. I got to get it out because I'm not going to laugh through it. I'm just going to text it, or I'm going to write it down and share it with you. Because in my seriousness, my goofiness is still behind. Like, listen, you better get this one. So, yeah.
I can't. But I think, and as we become adults, life does get a little more serious. Yeah. I always felt like, oh my God, Mom said stay in a child's place. I need to say, like, can we go back to a child's place now?
Right.
Because life is very serious and adulting.
Yeah.
And, especially adulting responsibly and, you factor in the relationship with God. And sometimes even that will try to make us be stripped from our authentic selves. God didn't say we couldn't laugh. God didn't say we couldn't have fun. God didn't say we couldn't, be joyous. He didn't say, I need for you all to be serious, funky. That wasn't him. Who said that? Show me the Bible.
I mean, through the Bible, he was funny the whole time. Like, not the whole time, but he was goofy. It was some seasons.
The whole time,
Not the whole time. It was some... I mean, not to be funny, but this is something that recently just happened. He had to spit in that man's face.
I'm not with you on that. That's what I'm not doing.
But he did. And he did it. And he healed him. And I'm just saying, there were times where... like if you read through it, if you really read about it's some funny moments, and he was just as funny.
Funny,
yeah.
It was funny, and we don't. And it's the balance act. Yeah. It is just what we've been saying. It is, knowing what we need to be serious, but
Yeah.
then knowing when it's okay to laugh and have fun, and
Yeah.
being an adult and being, in relationship with Christ does not mean
Yeah.
you have to lose everything. It's
Yeah.
just literally reposition, like reposition, and try not to get lost
Yeah.
in the new role.
Yeah. So we are this is so good. So it's just so good. We're going to do a part 2, and I'm going to bring Shalita back. We got one more question that we're going to answer in the part 2, and I hope you come back and check her out and check us out. Come back to the J. Christyn Show and see part 2. See you in a bit. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got anything from it, please share it with someone you think it will bless. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the J. Christyn Show right here on YouTube. You can download the audio-only version by subscribing to the show on most major podcast platforms. Also, make sure you check out our links in the comments below for more ways to engage with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on the J. Christyn Show.